Good evening from Los Angeles, where last night after midnight, my Uber driver said to me, I'm having trouble affording college for my kids, but what I'm really worried about is apparent violations of norms. It's all anybody here is talking about, and I'm sure Sean and Dan, you've experienced the same thing. The violation of norms is deeply troubling. I kid because this is a big deal, but we'll spend a lot of time talking about Comey. But I will say, I didn't wear this Fairway and Green shirt on my flight yesterday, but I wore another one. And there are two things, gentlemen, I have to tell you. First of all, couldn't have been more comfortable. I slept like a baby. It was like PJs. And I got lots of comments. Oh, two-way morning meeting. Nice shirt. Sean, look at you. What are you wearing today?
Well, Mark, it's Fairway Friday in the Spicer household. I'm
Right.
glad you asked. Not only am I wearing the stylish polo with the morning meeting logo, but Mark, I'm wearing the Baruffo Merino long sleeve V-neck sweater, size large, light charcoal. Comes in several flavors. Now, again, as we noted, Fairway and Green offers a variety of projects. Sorry.
Just show
Two,
everybody.
three,
Just
two,
show
Take
everybody your
two.
sleeve. Show everybody your sleeve. Okay, there you go.
It's
Dan, if
right
people
there.
want to join the two-way morning meeting club and wear fine Fairway and Green products just like this, where can they go? And is there any discount available?
Mark, I'm glad you asked
No,
because
no,
on
asking
Fairway
Dan.
Friday.
no,
No, no,
yeah,
ask
yeah,
Dan. Ask Dan.
Oh, Dan.
Yeah, Dan.
yeah, two-way TV, yeah, slash Fairway, and get
Two-way,
your
two-way.tv slash
sorry, two-way dot TV, yes,
slash
We went
and
Fairway.
over this, Dan.
Yeah, and
yes,
Dan,
yes,
what kind of discounts available?
20%.
Is there a code they need to use?
Two-way 20, the number two, way, WAY 20. You
Thank
get
you.
20% off, and
Thank
we have women's now.
Yeah, and slogans. Thanks to our friends at Fairway and Green. Very happy with all of this, and it's like having to go to a school with a uniform. No longer have to figure out what to wear each day. We'll run through the day book. We'll run through the news. We'll talk a lot about Jim Comey. Show you some of the reaction from around America, and then we'll welcome your questions if you're here in the two-way platform. Already a lot of hands up because unlike my Uber driver, you guys are interested in the violation of norms. It's just the question of whose norms are being violated. If you're watching on X or YouTube, please don't put smack in the chat. I got a very long email from one of you yesterday explaining in vivid detail why you put smack in the chat. This person just said, here's why I do it. Here's why I have to do it. I hope you understand. No reason for smack in the chat. Vivid language, good. Spirited debate, great. But saying that Dan looks horrible in his Fairway and Green clothes, no.
Not what I said.
That
Not
is
what I said.
that is where that is where I draw the line. Peace, love, and understanding, presumption of grace to all, and a little mercy for me because my flight landed at 1 a.m. Eastern time. I'm sorry, 1 a.m. local time here in Los Angeles. So
Ooh,
I
4
pulled
a.m. Eastern.
I pulled the 24 hours. I was up at 4 a.m. Eastern yesterday and landed at 4 a.m. Eastern time. So if I say something untoward, please understand. All right, guys. The President of the United States, a day after his bête noire was indicted by his Justice Department after he publicly ordered it to be, he's down to business. He's going to the Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
President departs at noon and then goes to the Ryder Cup, then back to the White House. Not there very long. So I'm not really sure why my tax dollars going for this little mini boondoggle, but widely expected that he may talk on departure. So we'll all be watching closely when he leaves. Oh, I was reading this wrong. All right, he's there for a little bit, but still not very much. Anyway, he departs 9:50. So it's possible, ladies and gentlemen, if the president, like George W. Bush today, believes late is rude, he might speak during this program. And so at the very end of the program, we'll all enjoy a presidential departure statement. Don't know what the vice president's doing, but I bet he's not going to the Ryder Cup. House and Senate are still out. But the House Democratic Caucus is gathering for a caucus meeting virtually today.
Yep.
Some of their members back from Codell's, and so they're all gathering. And then had some economic news. Inflation report, personal income and personal spending came out, and let's put that up, please. CNBC headline: core inflation rate held at 2.9% in August, as expected, and it's a high number. Dan tells me that was the expected number. So we'll talk about the economy in just a moment. But that's pretty much it for the day book. It's a relatively quiet Friday, which will give the world hours and hours to chew over Jim Comey. Here's how the media on the major cablers handled the Comey news at the top of their programs, 6 a.m. Eastern. Please roll 103.
Former FBI Director James Comey has been indicted by a federal grand jury in Virginia.
Another day, another Titanic story. Former FBI Director James Comey is now the first former FBI director to face federal indictment.
One outlet dubs it Trump's revenge strike, another Trump's retribution campaign. After calling for and getting an indictment of former FBI Director James Comey, who might the president target this morning?
Do we have the Van Hollen thing, or are you still working on that?
No, they do. 201.
Yeah. Okay.
By the way, the answer to that was John Bolton.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I watched a lot of cable news this morning, and last night on the plane, most of the coverage from the dominant media is not about is Jim Comey innocent or guilty. Most of the coverage is just about the concern about violations of norms. CNN's coverage and MSNBC in particular were along those lines. But I'm going to show everybody one element from both networks that, to their credit, stand out as covering this in a way, dare I say, fair and balanced. Here is this morning, Chris Van Hollen, senator from Maryland, with John Berman, who I used to work with. John asked a right question, which is, Jim Comey, a history of known public lying, on tape seeming to say he never authorized leaking when we know he did. John Berman wanted to know from the senator of Maryland, not how horrible is what Donald Trump did, but is it possible Comey's guilty? Listen to how Chris Van Hollen handled that.
What do you think of the merits of the case? A grand jury did hand up an indictment saying that they believe there was enough evidence to go forward with that maybe James Comey lied to Congress.
Well, John, the issue here is not that a former FBI director was indicted. It's how this came about. And again, you had the President of the United States essentially ordering the Attorney General to prosecute him, even though the professional
you get the point. He doesn't want to answer. He doesn't want to answer on the merits. John didn't follow. I wish he had. One more, and gentlemen,
Shocker.
we'll get
Shocker.
to you. Well, he did ask it. Danny Savalas, who's the legal commentator on CNN? What's that guy?
Ellie Honing.
Elliot Honing. So Danny Savalas and Elliot Honing, I give them credit. They're legal analysts on liberal channels, but they're willing to tell the truth. So, for instance, I believe both of them were skeptical of some of the charges against President Trump. And listen to Danny Savalas on Way Too Early this morning. Listen to what he says about what he refers to as the ticky-tack charge of this kind of perjury accusation. Roll that, please.
Serious charge, because I want to say right at the outset, Section 1001 false statements is not a serious charge. And I say that knowing that for many years, when folks in Trump's orbit were charged with those crimes like Roger Stone, Michael Flynn, Michael Cohen, George Papadopoulos, Rick Gates, I said it then too, even though a lot of people back then said, oh, these are very serious charges. Sorry, they're not.
Okay, lots to discuss, gentlemen. Dan, is Jim Comey guilty of a federal crime?
I don't know. We'll find out.
Sean?
Yes.
Okay, I'd like you two to discuss that because, I mean, obviously we don't know because I get Dan's your point. We want to be cautious. We haven't seen all the evidence. The indictment's relatively short. But Dan, do you understand why, both legally and politically, people on the right look at this and say, I'm against selective prosecution, just to be clear. But just based on the facts of the case, doesn't it seem like what he did was, if at a minimum, just as bad, or what he appears to have done, just as bad as what Rick Gates did, or Michael Flynn did, or Manafort? Isn't it like, why do you say with such certainty he didn't commit a crime?
I didn't say with such certainty he didn't commit a crime. I said I don't know. I mean we're gonna find out, right? So the Comey people are saying no, he's innocent, he didn't lie. Okay.
But Dan, have you seen the tape?
Yeah, I have. I mean, look, how leaks are authorized on what? Like, look, this is going to get legal. They're going to try to parse words, I'm sure. Look, Mark, you're shaking your head. I don't know. So it certainly sounds like he may have perjured himself to Ted Cruz. But I have no doubt that what Comey's going to probably attempt to do is say, I did not authorize it.
Okay, I'll just say one thing, Sean, and then I want to hear you at length.
I mean, I don't know.
We know that's what Comey did. Comey had these deputies, including a guy who didn't even work for the government, who he said, go tell the New York Times everything. It's well documented. I'm frustrated. And again, I'm against selective prosecution. I think what the president did was outrageous. But at the same time, this is an open and shut case. Sean.
So then, wait, but then, Mark, under that standard, all the charges against Trump were open and shut cases, and he should have been prosecuted.
No, they weren't. They were ridiculous cases.
Hold on a second. Wait. Pick the charge that he did not,
except for the Florida case. Dan,
Alvin Bragg was a made-up charge.
The Alvin Bragg, even the liberal legal analyst, the
Wait,
Alvin
hold
Bragg
on a
case
second.
is made up. Yeah,
Mark, did Trump inflate stuff?
Not.
Hold on a second. Trump Tower penthouse.
Wait, hold on.
Dan, it's very, very simple.
Hold on,
no one would have been charged. No one would have been charged in the Bragg case except Donald Trump.
But there's a couple of things.
Hold on, that was not the questions, guys.
Okay.
You're picking and choosing stuff here.
In the Trump case, in the Bragg situation, number one, the statute of limitations had expired. That's a fact. Okay.
He made up a charge.
Even if he had done X.
Yeah, okay.
No. Even if he did. Number two, it was a misdemeanor charge, right? That they combined additional charges to make a fake felony. The bottom line is, it's not even a question of whether or not it was or not. It expired, right? So the bottom line is, you couldn't have been charged with it without them making up and creating fake charges.
They didn't.
Okay. All right. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
But let's get to Comey.
Let's focus on Comey. Yes.
I think that, like, here is, and this is what Danny Savalas was alluding to, which is, I think it is fairly, without having a law degree, fairly obvious to say, did he do something that was illegal? Yes. The issue is, and I think this is what Danny's alluding to, and I think this is what most people will say, is similar to what we were just saying. Do most people get charged with this? Is this normally how we go about business? And the answer would be no. But as Danny correctly pointed out, that was it was good for the goose, it's good for the gander. I will read you verbatim a text I got this morning from one of my former White House colleagues. Tell your two-way friends that this one feels good, because we know what he was doing was illegal to us. We watched it. We lived it. Now we just have to watch him weather the media declaring him as being persecuted. Worth it. Enjoy your legal bills, Lion Comey. That's how a lot of us feel right now. And Sean, I'm just going to tell you.
Put that in a time capsule. That is perfectly stated. That's the way the Trump world views this. It's perfectly stated. And that, I don't want anyone selectively prosecuted. I don't want anyone on ticky-tack charges. But if you're talking about the politics of this and why the president did what he did and why he ordered the Justice Department to do it, it's all embodied right in what Sean read.
Yeah, but hold on a second. Let's unpack your statement. Start with the fact that he ordered it. Okay, unprecedented.
Outrageous. Not unprecedented. Not unprecedented.
Okay, Richard Nixon. Who else?
I think Kennedy probably did. They're all smear the Kennedys.
Okay. All right. So unprecedented. Biden did not order stuff. Mark, that's not.
What he said about Garland, absolutely.
Biden seemed to encourage it.
So, okay, did Joe Biden go on X?
No, but Dan, it's not going to be apples to oranges.
Could Joe Biden go on X?
Dan, I don't want to go down this road, because you're right. What the president did, in many ways, unprecedented and
firing U.S. attorneys.
People fire them all the time. Thoroughly outrageous.
Not for that reason.
Thoroughly outrageous.
Comey's son worked for the Eastern District.
Any American who cares, and I joked about norms at the top. Any American cares about the abuse of power by the president regarding the Justice Department should be outraged, and it's an outrage that Republicans are not speaking up. 100% agree with you, Dan.
But you can't yada yada over this.
Like, guys, I didn't yada yada over it.
I'm going to take 30 seconds to just say this. It is unprecedented for the president to order it. It is unprecedented to then blow out any U.S. attorneys that said, his own team said, no, there isn't anything there.
You don't know. You don't know that.
No.
All right, guys. Well, we don't know
it.
Hold on a sec. All we're going on is by the reports that, by the way, Pam Bondi hasn't come out and refuted it.
Just you're asserting that. You don't need that, Dan. The other stuff you said is 100%
well, no,
right.
I'm going to say it.
But don't go to stuff you don't know, because it weakens your case. On a platform dedicated to truth, love, and understanding. And I want everyone, not yada yada yada. I want everyone to listen to what Dan said, because if all you focus on is what a bad guy you think Comey is and what just desserts this is, you are doing a disservice to America. What the president's done is outrageous. It's dangerous. And imagine imagine President Ro Khanna or President AOC saying to a U.S. attorney, you must indict this person. Find a way to indict them. I don't care what the career people say. If you don't find that one of the most dangerous things a president has ever done, then you're so partisan and so MAGA, you can't see straight. At the same time, Sean, do you want to say you think what the president did was outrageous or no?
I think after what happened to us, and all this is like the Kimmel thing in a way to me, which is everyone got outraged about Kimmel, but no one cared about us. Everyone getting outraged about. I was never a target, but I certainly sat in plenty of those rooms with Mueller's folks, and so no one gave a crap about any of us, what it was doing financially, reputationally, whatever. And now suddenly it's, oh, Jim Comey, let's go on a walk and look at seashells together. I'm sorry, you know what? You're gonna have a hard time making me feel bad about this.
Okay.
Well, and look, I'll say this too. It didn't work.
Steve Bannon went to prison. Peter Navarro went to prison. Like, you guys, I'm sorry. Like,
well, and they indicted Trump 4 times with one legit case.
That's your opinion that one was select, but was strong.
I think one is a push.
But I'll say this: it didn't work for Newt Gingrich and Republicans in '98 to try to get Bill Clinton on sex. Didn't work for the Democrats when they went after Trump. I have never seen this work for a political party.
Okay. Exit question on Comey. We got other stuff to cover. Again, raise your hand if you want to end the conversation.
Will he look good in orange jumpsuit? Yes.
No. Your 3 choices are, your 4 choices. Case gets thrown out, pleads guilty, acquitted, convicted. Thrown out, pleads guilty, acquitted, convicted. Dan.
Acquitted.
Acquitted. Sean.
I think he gets convicted.
Case will be thrown out. All right. Yesterday, the president talked about George Soros, who he talks about a lot, but he also talked about Reid Hoffman, who is given, I think, hundreds of millions of dollars to Democratic causes. In fact, I think he might have given more than Soros in politics, not all the social stuff Soros does. And we talked last night on 2 Night. There's really not necessarily an analog for Reid Hoffman. I mean, he really has. There are people give a lot of money. There are people give a lot of money, but I don't know that anybody's, except the possible exception
Adelson.
Of Adelson, with the possible exception of Adelson. But Reid's been involved in a different way. I don't get the weeds on it. But there's not a lot of people in modern American politics like him. Let's just say that in terms of his checkbook. So, Sean, what will come of the president on this stuff? Stephen Miller talks about it. They talk in a shadowy way about how there's connection between these people's giving and violence. What will actually come of this?
I'm going to give you a Dan answer right now, which is I don't know. And I say that because I think the how is going to matter. If they just throw a bunch of mud at the wall, then my answer is going to lean towards not much. If they're actually surgical about this and go after some of did they violate certain campaign finance laws, then I think something could come of it. But the how is going to matter.
Dan, let me ask you this. If you were an advisor to Reid Hoffman or to Soros, and they said, we don't want to go the pokey, we don't want to have our subpoenas, whatever, like, who would you hire? What lawyers, what PR people? How would you approach this looming threat?
Well, I mean, I would tell them to hire good lawyers, which I'm sure they have. They're incredibly wealthy people. I would be surprised if they broke laws because they're incredibly wealthy, sophisticated people. I think I don't think either of them will stop doing what they're doing. And I think it's just an attempt to try to not harm George Soros or Alex Soros or Reid Hoffman. It's the lower ranked donors who don't want to spend a few $1 million because they're not billionaires and they can't afford this. All you're trying to do is intimidate and get people out of supporting Democratic causes. I mean, it's a raw politics move. I mean, that's all it is. And by the way, Miriam Adel or Sheldon Adelson, God rest his soul, before he died, I believe in 2016 spent over $100 million on Trump. I mean, they're the closest.
They're the closest. Yeah. Reid has more operational involvement. That's why I think he's a little bit different. They just write checks. He's more of he's got his political team is more.
I will say this.
Yeah, but both of them have people that they've hired, ex staffers that do this stuff.
No, but the difference is, I believe, I may be wrong, is based on my sense of things. The Adelsons just write checks. They're just like, here's a check, go spend the money. Reid's operation is more involved in, we need the latest technology. Who's.
Sure. Yeah. In that regard. Yeah. But I mean, look, to me, this is, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's like the whole thing about Act Blue. I mean, it's just try to break the party.
BB's speaking on the floor now. We'll continue to follow it. I'm glancing out the corner of my eye. I haven't seen anything in the Chiron suggesting big news or surprise. Mayor Adams did not arrest him, though, as the incoming mayor of New York says he would do. All right. Nothing that's happened in Shutdown world in the last 24 hours, including a very spicy interview that Hakeem Jeffries did with the folks at Punch Bowl, suggests we're headed towards a solution. So briefly, because none of us know, Sean, what's the most likely outcome now for the negotiations over Shutdown?
I think we shut down Tuesday night at midnight. My guess is that we're probably going close to the weekend. I will say this, having watched a lot of the quote unquote reporting this morning on this, I mentioned this earlier. If the people I'm talking to are correct, I know that the media is talking about apoplectic, effects of the government. They are clearly aware of that and trying to minimize any impact, which is why I think it could go longer than suspected. But I do believe that once they start firing and doing stuff, Democrats are going to get real nervous and cut a short-term deal, 30, 45 days, just to keep it back open.
Dan?
I think what's happening with Comey is only going to make the shutdown last longer.
Yeah, I agree with that. BB's got some charts he's holding up, very Perot-like, and he's speaking directly to the families of the hostages. Those are two things I can tell you. All right, we showed you the inflation numbers a little bit. There's been good and bad data on the economy that continues to be confusing. Yesterday, the president announced some more tariffs. Put up the Washington Post headline 110, please. Trump announces new tariffs on trucks, furniture, and pharmaceuticals. President Trump said pharmaceutical products may face tariffs of up to 100%, upholstered furniture 30%, and heavy trucks 25% starting on October 1. So there's a lot of debate about the data. Two sets of data. There's the economic data, which I said is confusing. And then there's the president's polling. His polling has not collapsed overall. His job approval continues as it has for 10 years to be within a pretty narrow band of floor and ceiling. But his approval rating on a variety of topics has gone down. And two, probably most notable, would be on both immigration, which of course has been his signature issue where his numbers were pretty high. That's come down. I don't know exactly why. And then on the economy, his numbers have come down. And we've said this before, I think here, if his numbers are the way they are now, the Republicans will lose the House. That's just a fact. So, Dan, where are we on the economy? Where are we on the president's political support?
Well, I think on the economy, there's been some good news, and I'm sure Sean will reference the statistics here. And there's been some bad news. I think what's the most important thing is voters don't feel good right now. And so if you look at the critical blocks, 113 here. There have been several polls now that show that Latino voters are souring on Donald Trump. And the number one issue they keep citing over and over again is the economy. You look at young voters, number one issue, the economy. They keep saying they're frustrated. So with all this noise going on, I think we all agree the economy will always be the number one issue in our elections. Trump and Republicans have a problem. One of the things Trump said yesterday in his nonstop talking to the press was, they're going to bail out farmers, is what he's now talking about. That he's going to use tariff money.
Didn't that come up on one of our?
Yes, that if you listen to the morning meeting, Mr. Sean Spicer said, well, that was his first time that they've really admitted, again, because it happened in the first term, that this is hurting somebody. And you heard Democrats smartly come out and say, what about manufacturers? What about small businesses? I mean, this is the trap. So I think politically, this continues to be a problem. And if it doesn't start getting better by the spring, voters lock in. And then you add this noise and you got problems.
Sean, put on your hat that is half Tony Fabrizio and half Scott Bessent and give us your view. Where's the economy? Where's the president's poll standing?
Love both of those guys, but that's not an image I want in my head. I think that the White House, I believe correctly so. And again, so just to be clear, we got good GDP numbers yesterday, some great small business numbers the other day, some of the highest ever in terms of confidence in small business. So I think they serve 800 small businesses, talking about their hiring, and small business is the engine and the backbone of the economy. I think that they truly believe, and again, this to me, I believe this as well. When these companies who are making massive investments and talking about building in the U.S., Apple talking about the glass in Kentucky, and all of this kind of stuff, I believe that their view is, okay, there might be a couple months between now and then where there's some churn, but you look 12 months out, especially ahead of a midterm, we're going to be in really good shape. I share that view.
Okay. We'll obviously keep talking about this. Some BB updates, and thanks to all of you peppering me, I might say bombarding in a different context, with texts updating me on BB. First of all, there was a little bit of a walkout before he started speaking, not surprising. I don't know how big. Second, where's this thing? Prime Minister Netanyahu speaking announced that the IDF has taken control of the phones of Gaza residents and Hamas operatives, and his speech is currently being broadcast live through those devices. That seems, par for the course. And then he held up his quizzes with the boards. One quiz was, who shouts death to America? A, Iran, B, Hamas, C, Hezbollah, D, the Houthis, E, all of the above. And of course, the answer is all of the above. And who commits violence against the U.S. and Israel? Same list, same answer. And he dramatically did little check marks there. Okay. I'm just looking at one more thing.
So his speech is squarely aimed at holding MAGA, is what you're telling me.
Got a constituency. Got a constituency. All right. We're going to do winners, losers of the week, what to look for this weekend, and then we'll get to your questions. So please, if you're here in the two-way platform, do you want the high honor, rare privilege of being able to ask two of America's leading thinkers, Sean Spicer, Dan Turrentine, a question? Now's the chance to raise your hand. We look forward to that. Sean, winner of the week.
My winner of the week is it's a tough winner but it's well deserved based on the circumstances. My winner of the week is Turning Point USA. They've announced now 120,000 new chapters and high schools and clubs. And again, it's hard to say someone's a winner after an assassination of a leader, but the movement that Charlie worked so hard for is paying dividends right now. So congrats to them and everything that's coming of this.
Dan.
All right, this is going to be a little bit, you're going to shock the two of you. My winner is Mickey Sherrill of New Jersey, because for those who haven't seen it, amongst the Comey stuff, the U.S., I think it's the Naval Department of Personnel, has admitted that they leaked her personnel file to her opponent's staff accidentally, which combined with the Jim Comey stuff, which is just going to, has set Democrats on edge. She was going to be my loser of the week, but this was the greatest set of news that could ever happen to her. It lets her flip the table now. And
just so the audience has some background on the stand, and again, I haven't seen the news that you're sharing, but when she was at the academy, she was not allowed to walk with her graduating class because of a massive cheating scandal. And I didn't realize what you said. I hadn't seen that.
They've admitted that they accidentally shared. So how does a personnel file accidentally wind up in your
well, again, this is not I will say, I don't know the details of what you're talking about, but I will say this is not the first time that people in the military have released files that were more than they should have because of just standard FOIA proceduring. So I don't know any of the details. I'll say if you start Googling, you'll realize that this is not the first time that this kind of thing happened.
Winner of the week, the American people and Jimmy Fallon. Taylor Swift is booked for a few weeks from now on The Tonight Show. Sean, loser of the... Don't roll your eyes at me. Sean, loser of the week. Taylor Swift on The Tonight Show, Sean. We're due for a little good news here in America.
Okay. My loser of the week is ABC. That I think the Kimmel thing really continued to dig in. I don't know if Paul can play this, but between Matt Gutman, their quote unquote reporter, saying that the texts with the assassin were very touching, and this beautiful humdinger from Jonathan Karl, take a listen.
The murder of Charlie Kirk was not a political act.
I think that combined between Kimmel, John Karl, and Matt Gutman, ABC lost the week.
Dan.
House Republicans, because the ad of a check and balance on Donald Trump just got a lot more salient next November.
Because?
All this Comey stuff. I mean, this is the stuff people hate. It just is. All this retribution stuff. If you run an ad and say that Trump should have check and balances, someone who works at the NRCC told me, even in their own surveys, it's 70-30.
Who's the only other person besides Comey to be both a hero and villain of both red and blue America in the last decade? Who's the only other person to be both hero?
I mean, John Bolton's not been loved by either side at varying times.
Yeah, but he was never. He was
Bushes,
never. I thought about Bolton. He was never a hero of the blue America.
He has been the last year.
I don't think I understand what you're saying. Bolton's a good answer.
Liz Cheney.
Liz Cheney.
Oh, that's a good.
Liz Cheney. Yeah, there's one more that I have. Fauci, possible, but less so. Fauci was a hero, Sean, at the beginning of COVID. The Reds loved him. Elon. My loser of the week is Comey, because having been both hero and villain, now really no one likes him. Really, the blue America, because they're just constantly reminded that he's the father of the Trump presidency, and of course, red America doesn't like him. So, although he likes his Instagram things that I find creepy and weird.
Don't you? I mean, honestly, I'm glad you flagged that, because
he's a man without a tribe.
It really is creepy. I'm glad you flagged that.
He's a man without a tribe. I will say, I'll break a little news here. It's not really news, but I was writing a book about the 2016 presidential campaign. Never got published, but the stuff that was there on Comey was incredible, and it's part of why I'm so confident in saying that he's a habitual liar, and he's one of he's just the gap between the impression of him and his character propagated by him and his propaganda machine and the reality is massive. It's as massive as anything I've seen. So someday I hope to write that book and tell everybody about the real Jim Comey. Sean, what are you looking for this weekend?
This is the first weekend I don't have any. I'm just going to look for early vote numbers in Virginia to see if what's going on now materializes, because this is the first week, honestly, that I thought about this today, that I didn't have something that was unequivocally, I really want to see this. So I'll just look for early vote numbers and maybe what's in my shed outside.
Yep. Dan.
All right, I'm going to go a little bit lighthearted. Can the New York Mets hold on and make the playoffs, and can the U.S. win the Ryder Cup?
Okay.
Dan, by the way, my runner-up loser of the week until this morning was the announcer for the Mets, who went after Matt Shaw, questioning his attendance at Charlie's funeral for being, quote, weird. So I'm glad you brought the Mets up. That was
all right. What I'm looking for, and I want you both to weigh in here, and then we'll go to questions in a second. I'm looking to see what Hillary Clinton says about the Comey thing. So Sean, if Hillary said, Sean, draft a tweet for me, what would you say?
We are not a dictatorship. No one is above the law. Like, this is not America. We all need to fight back and vote this year or something.
Dan, workshop Sean's.
Wait, say it again. Sorry, you asked me what is Hillary Clinton?
What should she tweet out?
If Hillary says I have to tweet, everybody's asking me what should she tweet out about the Comey thing? You didn't listen.
I think she would focus on. I don't think she'll say Comey. She'd focus on targeting your political opponents. She may even make a joke that, boy, would Bill and I have loved to have had this power to call out and specifically fire people to go get our enemies. She may have fun with it like that.
Sean, I thought both of those facts, and I would just say the thing, no one's above the law, the outrageous banana republic, and then I do BTW, fuck you, Jim Comey. That's what I did.
Or she could have said, I never went after the right-wing conspiracy. I just thought there was one.
Yeah. All right. Again, if you want to,
I just knew there was one.
if you want to. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry to laugh so hard at that, but I really, as several people have said to me since last night, just a high level of interest in whether Hillary Clinton ever weighs in on this, because
You should have asked Patty on Next Up. She might have.
I know, but it hadn't happened yet. All right, one more word from a sponsor, and then your question. So again, please raise your hand if you want in on the conversation. And that is CB Distillery. Right now, some of you probably didn't get a great night's sleep. Maybe you're a little bit sore after exercise. Maybe you're dealing with issues of mood and focus. For many people, the answer is found in the products of CB Distillery. Highest quality, clean ingredients, no fillers, just premium CBD. Some of you probably don't even know what this is. Google it and you'll see this is something that works. Over 2 million people trust CB Distillery's products to deal with sleep, relaxation, pain, etc. Go now to cbdistillery.com. 25% off your entire purchase if you use the promo code two-way. Promo code two-way. I'm assured I'm supposed to say two-way. Promo code two-way. Go to cbdistillery.com. Deal with all these issues.
Promo code is Mark.
Guys, just keep telling me different promo codes. Is it Mark? Because I was told it was.
The promo code is Mark.
Okay. I keep asking. Don't use the promo code two-way. It probably would work. Use the promo code Mark to get 25% off your order. Use the promo code Mark, cbdistillery.com. And now.
Maybe a lot of Democrats ordering that to sleep this weekend.
Yeah. And now we go to your questions. Peter, welcome in.
You got to be careful if you're Comey. I don't know that you want to be.
Peter, welcome in. Thank you for being part of the two-way experience. You've unmuted successfully. Now you're going to tell us where you are and what's on your mind for America's lead thinkers, Dan Turrentine and Sean Spicer.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And I love everything that you guys are doing. So I'm in Monroe, North Carolina, kind of in the space at the edge of the suburbs of Charlotte, almost in the rural parts outside of it. My question is, so I'm an attorney. I focus on data privacy, cybersecurity stuff. After the Charlie Kirk shooting, what's been a little surprising to me hasn't gotten any kind of real policy discussion is there used to be all this conversation about like online safety and all that stuff. And I understand, I'm a conservative. I understand why it kind of went off to the side when Republicans took control, because it was often seen as a guise for censorship. But we all watch someone get murdered. Like if you're on social media, oftentimes the videos would start playing before you knew exactly what was happening. I don't know. It seems to me like something that there's very, pornographic and other type of material on there as well. It seems like there's a space that there could be a lot of agreement on outside of something that could be used for censorship. And I'm a little surprised that those conversations haven't really come up again.
Peter, I want to let the guys react. Unfortunately, your audio is not the best. So that's okay. All good. Stand by. Sean, reaction to what Peter said.
So Peter, are you saying that you're concerned or shocked or whatever that the actual video of Charlie's assassination was able to be seen? Is that what am I hearing you correct?
Yeah. So I mean, like the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the murder of Irina on the Charlotte buses, the fact that these very violent videos are shown. And like you have to go in and affirmatively change whether or not you want them to autoplay.
Yep. Thank you, Peter. Sean.
Yeah, I think what's shocking to me, I agree with you. What I started to think about afterwards was all of the kids who are watching that happen in real life. And it was one thing, to your point, Peter, when you could see it on a video game, and that was troubling in itself, because I believe that kids were desensitized to the issues of violence. But I do think that when you actually watch it now, that's scary, how many people look at it, and the graphic nature of it is horrific. And so I don't know what the answer is, though. That's why I wish, you're the lawyer. I wish I would have, you could come back at some point, because I am troubled by it and how all of these people are going to see it forever and ever and ever. But I will say, I don't know how you stop it either, because so many people had copies of the video and we're playing it over and over again. I don't know what the answer is, but I find it, very odd, weird, and a little disturbing.
Dan.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was the first kind of mass tragedy that was really caught live on cell phones. And that is gut-wrenching. I know all four of our kids saw it immediately, and I had not seen the most graphic one until they started sharing it, because they saw it. I think one of the big things that's kind of somewhat remarkable is the tech companies have really escaped serious conversation here. You know, JD Vance early on took a shot saying they were all Democratic, which of course is ridiculous because they're all sitting at, you know, the patio in the Rose Garden having dinner with the president every other week. But somehow the tech companies have escaped any real serious conversation about this stuff.
Thank you for your question. Dan, welcome in. Thanks for being part of Two-Way. Tell folks where you are, what's on your mind for Sean.
Thank you. Good morning. Thanks for calling on me. I'm in St. Louis, Missouri. First time, long time. And my
like
question is,
toasted ravioli,
I'm sorry?
Dan? You like
Say
a good
again?
toasted ravioli?
I love toast, and my kids love toasted ravioli, so I always have them get extra so that I can.
It's the best. It's the best. It is. I dream about it. Go ahead.
Well, just so that other people can jump in. My question is not going to be about Charlie Kirk, but I want to say that I am in the cohort of people who barely knew who he was before he was killed and have kind of been radicalized by the left's reaction to his murder. But what I really want to say is on September 10th that I came here because I wanted a sober and thoughtful discussion of what had happened. I could have gone a million places and been spun out of control to anger and stuff, but I came here. So thank you for having this place where we can be not crazy, you know, because there's not a lot of not crazy enclaves on the internet. But here's my question.
Dan, grateful for that, and I'm glad you obviously don't read the chat, so thank you for that too.
I try not to. I know what you mean. I try not to. I'm definitely not going to read what they're saying about me because
thank you for those kind words, and floor is yours.
Thank you. Well, so I'm very concerned about not nihilism taking over, and there's a really kind of dark nihilism that I think is reflected in these shootings and stuff. But there's, in my view, another kind of like corporate nihilism between the political parties where nobody really seems to believe in anything except power for its own sake. And, all of a sudden the Democrats are really worked up about free speech when they didn't give a damn about it for the last 5 years. What drives me crazy about the Republicans, they're supposed to be the party of small government. They won't do a damn thing about the debt, which in my view is possibly the biggest issue in this country. So, what I try to do for myself is keep cognizant of the issues that, the principles that matter to me, where, regardless of what party's in charge, I'm going to stick to. And I can't think of anything more lame than this foam finger, my party's number one thing. So my question to Dan and Sean, who I love listening to every morning, what's an issue or two or a principle that you would hold to, that even if the leader of your party went the other way, you would publicly resist that direction?
Okay. And Dan, for clarification, Dan Rhodes, do you want something that's plausible, or where they're already disagreeing with the party, or just anything?
Yeah, if there's something that you're already disagreeing with, I do want to hear it. I think and I know I'm kind of preaching to the choir on Two-Way, but I think we should start saying question. this is I'm holding this line on this issue. Great if it's already out there, cool.
Yeah, Sean, what are one or two things where you either are currently breaking with your party or would?
Debt, deficit, China, the threat of big tech. There's three.
Dan,
awesome.
Boy, let me choose here. So immigration, the way that the parties handled crime, and the way that the party at the time handled Joe Biden.
You guys are the best.
Dan, thank you for that question. You don't have to answer, obviously you don't want to. How many times in the general election did you vote for Donald Trump?
3 times, reluctantly each time.
And have you ever voted for a Democrat for president?
Not for president, but I have voted for Democrats in basically at every other level.
Okay. Dan, thank you. Grateful.
Wait, can I just ask Dan? Sorry.
Go ahead.
Dan, where things are today, are you inclined to vote for JD Vance, or are you kind of open when you think about 2028?
I'm very open. I'll throw this out there. I want Thomas Massey to lead us, but that
okay.
Maybe I just lost everybody.
Yeah. You definitely lost somebody. Dan, thank you. Grateful to you. All right, Rebecca, welcome back. Tell folks who don't know where you are, what's on your mind for Dan and Sean.
Over here in Texas, Winnie, Texas. Dan, quick question. If the Democrats want to do anything, take over the House, the Senate, don't they have to have something to run on?
To be candid, they may not. I mean, they may be able to just run on kind of holding the Trump administration accountable and to prevent some of the crazy.
You think that'll work though? I mean, what about the the economy and everything else? You've got to have.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, they will come up with stuff. I imagine it's going to be relatively small. I think that, Rebecca, is where this is going to already, you can see the fault lines emerging. And we talked on Two-Way Tonight last night. What Trump said about if Democrats get control, they're going to reopen the border. I mean, that might as well have been an ad for next November. Like, you're going to hear more of this, right? If they get power back, they're going to impeach. They're going to reopen the border, So to your point, Democrats are going to have, here are our 5 things that we would do for you that are kind of sane and helpful. And, the reality is if we had the House with Trump and the Republican Senate, likely we're not going to be able to do anything, but you need to tell voters like, hey, we are adults.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
Because we do need to have a Democrat and a Republican, back in the day when we fought against policies, not who hated who the most.
Yep. I agree with you.
Yeah. Rebecca, thank you. Very grateful to you. Great question. Much appreciated. Okay. Sorry. little flickery here. John, welcome in. Tell folks who don't know where you are, what's on your mind for Sean and Dan.
John, where are you?
I am in Rhode Island. Earlville, Rhode Island. Yeah.
Where? Sean's cousin? Yeah.
I'm up in the northwest, the great northwest of Burrillville.
Well, I was about to tell you that I know some of your neighbors, but I
was going to say, Sean's cousin here. Yeah.
There's some great shooting out there. That's
oh,
like
yeah,
part of Rhode Island. That's not like, I mean, it's almost, I don't think most people in Rhode Island even know how to get up there.
That's true. Addyville East is my backyard. So I wanted to say a couple of things about, hearkening back to the other gentleman who talked about, I really think, and I hear people calling in about their concerns about how and the degree to which social media, big tech play into this. And I don't know if out there, Mark, there's a place for you to have a show where people discuss this even, because I think it's an important discussion that needs to be had on its own. So that's one thing. And then playing off of it, I was just wondering if you guys could comment on the TikTok kind of deal, that the executive order, and the degree to which you guys think that may actually kind of both be going through, but also meets what the letter of the law is, because it's unclear to me for that. And I'd just love to hear your thoughts on it.
Great. Dan.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to meet the letter of the law. I think it's interesting the Chinese have been so quiet here. I think there may be, because some of these details they know, don't put it out there. Look, it's remarkable. I mean, it's the whole thing that they passed the law, that Trump has been kind of just, and Biden did the same thing. Nobody wants to actually go ahead with it. But kids are addicted to it. No politician wants to be the one who put the knife in the popular app. I don't believe that they're going to completely break off the algorithm. I think the Chinese, it's being leased. They're going to keep getting the information because they need it to strengthen the algorithm. You have to keep going. So, unfortunately, I don't think Democrats are going to take advantage of this because they do the same thing.
Yeah, there's 2 things that I have a problem with TikTok on. Number one, it is truly a national security threat. At least from what they've said publicly, it seems like they're quasi addressing that. I do have concern about China maintaining any kind of partnership, ownership, because at the end of the day, that's not how they do business. This isn't like a shareholder. So I do have concern on that. And then I think the second piece, which is less of a legal and like or less in the law part that was passed about this, but I will say I do worry about what Dan brought up. This is a cancer on our kids. The next generation of Americans is suffering because of what's happening. I think TikTok is the most prevalent. Snapchat is way up there. And what's happening, I think it's funny how many parents you talk to that'll say, well, I just didn't know what to do. And as if somehow the kid was in charge. And it's difficult and it's sad, but I think we are ruining a generation of kids and creating a mental health crisis that in 5, 10, 15 years is going to be epic.
I know that right now. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead, John.
I'm a family doctor. I see kids, I have kids, and the paternalism that medicine has kind of brought since the pandemic certainly is undergoing some change right now. But even within that, I think there's blame to be placed on, even like the American Academy of Pediatrics hasn't come out and said anything about this is a problem. And I still don't understand why that, from my own standing in my profession, is going on. And I agree that it's a difficult line to play between those two avenues of like free speech versus, are we actually, where is there free speech? Is an algorithm free speech? And what kind of harm is going on here are all parts that I think we are still tangling with. And to the degree that medicine needs to like throw its weight behind it, whatever weight that might still have, I think that's an important place for.
So John, first of all, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I have a long time theory that like everything goes back to money and power. And I believe, I would bet you, if you look underneath the surface of the American Pediatric Association, there is a lot of donations from big tech to them. But to your point, this is a medical issue. And it's not just the kids. I have been a big believer for the last 6, 7 months. I've tried to get into a practice of waking up, going out, getting sunlight, and not looking at my phone for 30 minutes. And that's as an adult brain. And you can imagine what happens to a kid's brain much younger, where they're getting on and then seeing stuff, et cetera, et cetera. So I agree. I think it's what you just pointed out. I've heard so few people do it. I'm glad you did, which is, why is the medical community silent on this? And I've got to believe that money is the answer.
Quick, throw up CNN if you would. Constitutional law professor Jamie Raskin's on. John, thank you for the question. Let's just see what Jamie's saying, and then we'll go to the professor.
Prosecution. So it's very hard to contemplate in the United States of America a former FBI director being convicted after such a completely contaminated process.
I also just saw that you've now sent a letter to the Attorney General Pam Bondi demanding documents and communication regarding what happened with that acting U.S. attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia, Eric Siebert. He resigned under pressure and then was replaced by the attorney you're talking about, Lindsay Halligan. What are you looking for in this request from Pam Bondi?
Well, we want the backroom correspondence, which essentially backs up what everybody was able to see in public, which is President Trump had appointed Eric Siebert, who was recommended by the Republican governor of Virginia, endorsed by the Democratic senators from Virginia, a well-respected prosecutor, and he got sacked. And it very clearly was because he refused to issue this indictment. That is not how justice works or has worked in the United States of America. There's always been a separation between the political function of the White House and the president, and then the independent law enforcement function of the United States Department of Justice and the U.S. attorneys that operate under it. And suddenly the president essentially commanded one of his prosecutors to bring an indictment. And Mr. Siebert investigated it, did a full vetting of the situation, and said there simply wasn't sufficient evidence to bring a criminal indictment
Thank you for
against the former FBI director.
Thank you. From one professor to another. Professor Kenny, welcome in. My first question to you is, how much of the final grade is based on the essay and how much is based on today's episode?
And class participation.
Yeah, participation is definitely part of the grade, but it's always the final paper.
Always the final paper. Okay, good to know.
And two-way doesn't get brought up in my classes. Sorry, guys.
That's all right. What's on your mind, sir?
Okay, here's what's on my mind. Yesterday on our post show, I showed the Harry Enton polls from CNN about the trustability factor between Democrats and Republicans, and the Republicans still large leads in those polls in terms of crime, in terms of immigration, even in the economy. The polls show that the public trusts Republicans more than Democrats. So I know we're only, we still got a ways to go. I know we're a year out, but I've never seen anything like this with so much turmoil going on that one party still can't, get their proverbial head out of, in terms of
trying to grab a message. Dan, when you say things like, well, Mikey Sherrill, this is going to help her, I totally disagree. I think when they expose, like what Sean said, that she was a cheater, and,
well, no,
and didn't get,
yeah.
yeah.
What her answer is that she did not walk because she would not turn in classmates. So you're supposed to, under the honor code, you are, if you are aware somebody cheated, you are supposed to say, you know, Bob cheated, and she refused to do that. That's her.
Yeah, well, which is okay. So I stand corrected. I apologize. But then, what do you think about this? I mean, I know it's still a year out, but and now with Mamdani going to be the mayor of New York City, you know, I've sent you that message about that. What do you think about this? What's gonna, you know, how are the Democrats going to regain some footing?
So it's a great point, and it's one that we should not lose sight of, which is that while Trump is losing altitude, Democrats are not inversely gaining altitude, right? So today, Republicans are still preferred kind of across the board. I think there is a long way to go. I think the party knows they're going to have to do affirmative things. I think it ultimately will come down to what are the 3 or 4 issues that are most important to voters at the time. So if it's a check and balance, Democrats will be in, you know, better shape. If it is who's going to handle crime better, Donald Trump may be, you know, and Republicans may be in better shape. So we just have to see.
Yeah, hold on. I got to stop. Professor, thank you. We have to go in the weeds on something because I see now from Margot Martin's Twitter feed that the president's gaggling on the South Lawn before he gets on Marine One. It used to be able to be live from the South Lawn. But Sean, what's the deal? Are they not cabled anymore?
No, they are. They should be. And there's also
it's not. I see him talking in the still photo. It's not on any cable channel. Why are we not seeing live coverage?
Well, let's go to the pool. Who's in? I mean, I was there the other day. I mean, the answer is yes, you can go live, and B, they should have a live view, whoever that person is.
I know, but I'm watching every cable channel. Nobody's taking it live.
Well, maybe the rider
who's taking it. Hold on. Just time out. It's not who's taking it. Is the White House TV pooler have that live viewing it?
Well, but that's what I'm saying. They must not, or they'd be taking it.
I get it.
Fox isn't taking it. I find it very weird. Anyway, I'm just looking at tweets now. He said he got a question about the Middle East. He said, as he said 100 other times, we're close to a Gaza deal. But it's very disappointing to me because I could just see a still photo. It's a very nice tableau. Marine One's in the background. There's the president standing there, but he's not wearing golf apparel. If he were, he'd be smart to wear clothes from Fairway and Green, but he's not. He's not wearing golf apparel. He's wearing a suit. I don't know. Would you guys wear a suit to the Ryder Cup?
He would. He wears a suit to every sport.
Does he have a tie on?
It's a weird shot. It's like profiles. I think so because he's wearing a suit. I doubt he'd be wearing that without a tie unless he was getting off Air Force One at 2 in the morning, like I did last night, 1 in the morning.
You got off
anyway. Well, no, I got off a plane. Anyway, I don't know what to make of us being able to see this. So far, all the tweets of what he's talking about say it's about Gaza. In any event,
is he going to get Israel into the World Cup? Because that's the latest little sports flashpoint.
The thing
he was talking about banning them.
Bibi was bemoaning world support for Israel evaporating, but what's getting at least as much attention is this tech trick that they pulled, akin to when they had all those pagers blow up. They somehow took over all the phones and allowed everybody or made everybody watch his speech in Gaza. Those guys are like, what's the name of the agent in James Bond? Q? Who did? Like,
Q. Yeah, with all the gadgets.
The Israelis are just like a bunch of Qs. All right, we're not going to be able to tell you what the president said, but I predict if you turn over to cable 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, you'll probably see live coverage or full coverage of something that I don't understand. Let me check my calendar. No, it's not 1980 or 1771.
I think Trump would fire somebody if he knew he was not live on Fox right now.
This has happened before, though. They don't seem at times to be able to have. There has to be tape playback, as we call it, rather than
Mark. Who's that? We did it at the beginning. Who is the? I'm looking as we go. Who's the?
I don't think we did the pool today.
No, I mean, but it doesn't really matter because this has happened. It's not about who the pool is. It's because everybody's got the same capability. TV pool, CNN, the most trusted name in news. They can't get a live They can't get a live signal out of the South Lawn. I don't understand it. It's still not on anywhere. But this is a very beautiful photo. Go to Margot Martin 47, her Twitter feed. You can see this incredible shot with Marine One in the background. It's lovely. All right. We won't have that. Let me tell you about what's coming up here on the two-way platform later today. Ethan Strauss, 2 p.m. Random Offense guest Ryan Glassspiegel, 2 p.m. Front Office Sports. I've been reading about Front Office Sports. They have an interesting business model.
Oh, they're fantastic.
Yeah, really interesting operation. And then on two-way tonight, 6 p.m. Eastern time, final episode of the week. 6 p.m. Eastern, I'll say 3 p.m. Pacific time. My guest will be Natalie Allison of the Washington Post, one of America's great writers and political reporters. I believe making her two-way tonight debut. Maybe I'm wrong, but I believe she's making her two-way tonight debut. And a reminder, this program as well as two-way tonight are both available as a podcast. If you haven't already downloaded and figured out how to like, subscribe, share, please go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or of course on YouTube. But if you're a supporter of the platform, we'd very much appreciate you going to those platforms and letting them know through all the various means. Sean, what do you have tonight?
First, I didn't make the cut, but I will say one of my big winners of the week, Dan Scavino, Deputy White House Chief of Staff, longtime.
Oh, he's leaving.
Buddy.
No, got engaged.
Elmore got engaged at the White House. Congratulations to them. That's if you're going to get engaged, the Rose Garden, I highly recommend it. But we've got Victor Marks on tonight. He was a good friend of Charlie Kirk's. Charlie had asked him to mentor him. They were supposed to be in Colorado the day after the assassination. We're going to talk a lot about the life and legacy, but also beyond that, Victor Marks will be making a major announcement about his potential run for governor of Colorado, Dan.
Okay.
Ooh,
This is a super,
dark horse presidential candidate, Michael Bennett.
Super messed up thing. I see on cable, they're touting coming soon, awaiting Trump's departure from the White House. And I can tell you, he's already out there
actually,
talking.
Fox has got it now too. Now awaiting Trump departure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it's happening. It's like this is all a big sham of a mockery of two shams of a mockery. I'll say everybody at 6, have a good weekend, and the three of us will be back Monday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern time. Because Dan, if it's Monday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern time,
it's the morning meeting.
Have a good
Have
weekend,
a good
everybody.
Fairway Friday, guys. A good
Right.
Fairway Friday.
U.S. is getting killed in the Ryder Cup, man.